Hello, my dear friends. This is Ratnam from Government Degree College, Bodhan. Today, I am going to cover chemical bonding. This is an extension of last previous class in chemical bonding. Now, this is covering the first year syllabus, Unit 1, Molecular Orbital Theory. This is what we are now dealing with. In the last session, I started this molecular orbital theory. What is this molecular orbital theory? It is in specific. It deals with how bonding is taking place among the molecules. We already know that every molecule is having atomic orbitals. Every atom has atomic orbitals, and these atomic orbitals uh, bond or overlap with the other atomic orbitals of the other molecules, and that's how a bond is formed. But direct interaction between atomic orbital and atomic orbital is not all the time could explain so many properties. Therefore, this molecular orbital theory has been proposed. So, in this molecular orbital theory, atomic orbitals of different atoms combine to give equal number of molecular orbitals, and that is what we observe. Here, number of molecular orbitals are same, but they are different in nature. They are bonding type with lower energy, and another set of molecular orbitals are called anti-bonding with higher energy. Let us try to understand what is this atomic orbital combination. How do they combine with each other, and so that how do molecular orbitals generally are formed. Let us try to understand slowly. First of all, look at the diagrams, orbital diagrams of s orbital and p orbital. Similarly, d orbital also. So s orbital is a spherical shape. Already we know that orbital is nothing but the probability of finding electron in space, in three-dimensional space around the nucleus. So here the s orbital means it is totally what covered in all the directions. It is given a positive sign. Okay. And in p orbital it is a dumbbell shape. It is like a dumbbell shape, and it is what elongated, spread across a single axis, whether it is x axis, y axis, or z axis. You can see here. For example, if you compare two p orbitals, px, py, pz, you can easily see that it is spread across x axis, y axis, and z axis. So this is how we get three different p orbitals, px, py, pz. And how they combine. How do they combine? How do they overlap? This is the main thing what we have to understand, because atomic orbitals generally overlap with each other to give rise to molecular orbitals. This is what we call as combination. So what type of combinations are possible, and how do we get different combinations and different types of bonds? Here you can see the bonding nature. Here, for example, in the bottom of this diagram, it is sigma bonding and pi bonding. How this is going on? For example, a pi p orbital when overlapping head on means face to face overlapping is there. It is a deep overlapping that gives a sigma type of bonding, and if a partial overlapping is taking place, that is sideways overlapping is taking place, then that gives pi orbital or pi type of this one. Now let us try to understand the sign conventions. How do we have sign conventions? For example, here you see the sign conventions of the orbitals are generally given as positive, negative signs. So what does it mean? Positive sign is nothing but it is every wave, electron wave is like a sine wave. It moves like this. It moves like this. So when it is moving like this, it will go upside and downside. So positive side and negative side. So that is the meaning of a positive and negative side. A positive sign means it is moving towards positive direction. In the sense, for example, if you take x-axis has positive sign and negative sign. Upside we generally take positive and downside we take negative. Similarly, z-axis also has positive and negative. Similarly, y-axis also have positive and negative. Similarly, here also the wave is moving towards one side, it is taken as positive side, and if it is moving towards negative side, then it is the minus sign. That's it. So it is the wave nature, wave movement, or wave side, how the electron is spread or electron wave is moving. So for example, here you see the interaction, the combination. During this combination, this sign is very important, because if positive side positive side interact, then only there is a probability of finding a new orbital with positive side. Here in the upper side you can see very clearly, that is 1s orbital plus and another 1s orbital plus, that is two waves are upside, they combine, then that gives a bonding type molecular orbital. So that is molecular orbital, which is called as bonding molecular orbital. And in the bottom diagram you can see one s orbital is positive inside, that is its wave is upside, and another s orbital is there, but its wave is downside. That's why it is given a negative sign. So the upside wave is interacting or overlapping with the downside wave. This is upside and this is downside. Then when such kind of interaction taking place, then naturally what happens, that interaction is a failure interaction, which leads to no bond. In other words, it is called as anti-bonding. That means there is every probability that the wave function is either that side or back side. It is either front side or back side. So that is positive side or negative side. So that is the reason why we expect two 50-50 probability of finding bonding type one interaction, anti-bonding type another interaction. This is the reason why molecular orbitals are always equal in number, and equally they are distributed into bonding type, anti-bonding type. This is how we can easily understand looking at the wave picture of the orbital. Okay, now you go back here. You see, this is a positive overlapping, negative overlapping. How this is going on is, you see, in the first picture, in the first diagram, p orbital positive side and another p orbital with positive side, they are interacting, and that gives a sigma bonding, which is a clear bonding. Whereas on the right side, negative overlap, you can easily see that positive side of one p orbital, negative side of another p orbital are interacting. That means one wave is there, another wave is not there. Therefore, there is no specific interaction, no bond is formed. That means that is called anti-bonding. Similarly, s orbital and p orbital. Again, plus plus gives bonding, whereas if you take minus plus interaction, that is not bonding. That is negative bonding or anti-bonding. Similarly, these first two examples are sigma bonds. You have third one and fourth one are nothing but pi bonds. Pi bonds means again in pi bonding also. In pi bonding, overlapping is sideways. That is p orbital and p orbital are attracting or overlapping sideways. Here also positive positive and negative negative interaction only leads to bond formation. If positive side and negative side are interacting, just as given in the right side, there will not be any what specific bonding. That is the reason why it is called anti-bonding. Same p y y z z also same. In the last diagram, you can see that s orbital is interacting to the nodal point. Nodal point means where there is no electron cloud. The orbital is there, but it is interacting in the middle point. So if such interaction is taking place, then it is called no bonding or zero overlapping. That it is not at all a bond. We cannot call that it will generate any molecular orbital. Similarly, px interacting with py or pz, it doesn't make any meaning, because there is no interaction of dumbbell to dumbbell. That is the what orbital is not at all interacting with another orbital. So all such different cases, you can clearly see positive type of overlapping, negative type of overlapping, and no bond overlapping. So these are different criteria for any overlapping among atomic orbitals. Now let us try to understand how these atomic orbitals are combining, and how do they generate molecular orbitals. And this is the way to write. If you look at the energy diagram, atomic orbital energies are in the middle, and bonding molecular orbital, that is when positive and positive are interacting, then it gives a bonding type of molecular orbital, which is having lesser energy than atomic orbital. So the bonding molecular orbital energy is at lower level when compared to atomic orbital, and anti-bonding molecular orbital energy is at higher level. It is above atomic orbital. So two energy levels are created and two molecular orbitals are there. One is at lower energy level, that is called bonding. Another is at higher energy level, that is called antibonding. So this is the reason why we always get bonding and anti-bonding molecular orbitals equal in number of total atomic orbitals involving in the diagram. You see here, for example, p orbital is interacting again. Similarly, p orbital, during the interaction of the p orbital and with another p orbital, definitely there is equal probability of plus plus interaction as well as plus minus interaction. That's why we expected two different molecular orbitals that are generated. One is at lower energy level, which is called bonding, and another is at higher energy level, which is called anti-bonding. So it is denoted with for bonding, it is simply denoted as pi. For example, here it is given pi bonding, and at higher level, that is anti-bonding, it is denoted with pi star. This star indicates anti-bonding. Sigma star means anti-bonding sigma interaction. Pi star means anti-bonding pi interaction, and simply pi and pi star. So this is the simple notation where we use for molecular orbitals. Yeah. Similarly, just now already we had just gone through. This is addition to subtraction. In other words, it's called as addition and subtraction means waves are added. That gives bonding type. If waves are subtracted, that is upside is one wave is an upside, another wave is a downside. So both gets cancelled. That's why we get anti-bonding. That is non-bonding, what we call as. So this is the interaction and sign convention as far as atomic orbitals converting into molecular orbitals. So this is very key concept to understand what are molecular orbitals. Based on this total, the theory of molecular orbital theory is running. So let us take some of the characteristics of these bonding molecular orbitals. Just now we have seen that the bonding molecular orbitals are at a lower energy. That is the main important point what we have to understand. The probability of finding the electron in the bonding molecular orbital is greater. So bonding molecular orbitals having higher probability of finding the electron. Definitely the electron is present, and it gives a positive interaction, that is attraction between two atoms, and energy is lower, therefore it is more stable. Naturally that is called bonding. And the mathematical representation, you can see that psi a plus psi b. So that psi a is nothing but wave function of the one atom, and psi b is the wave function of the other atom called b. Then these two are taken as positive, that is addition. Just now we have seen in the previous diagram, this is called addition. So bonding type means the lower one, this is addition. So psi 1s plus psi 1b 1s, so that is the addition type. So psi a plus psi b. Psi is the wave function of a atomic orbital, and bonding is represented with, already I have seen that, sigma pi. No star will not be there, simple sigma, simple pi, and delta doesn't come here. Okay, anyhow. Whereas if you take antibonding, that is nothing but where the probability of finding electron is very less, it is almost zero, and electron uh, in that particular area will not result any kind of attraction, but instead of that, it results into repulsion between two atoms. So the electron present in antibonding molecular orbital results into repulsion. Therefore, electron doesn't try to be there. So it is called higher in energy. That is the reason why they are unstable, and the representation is given as psi minus psi, that is psi a minus psi b. And these anti-bonding orbitals are represented with stars, sigma star, pi star, like that, and minus higher energy. These are the main three characters of anti-bonding. Similarly, bonding means the main three characters of bonding are lower energy, psi plus psi, and there is a bonding type of nature it is. And what we mean by LCAO, linear combination of atomic orbitals. So this is one important aspect in understanding molecular orbitals and their nature. How linear combination of atomic orbitals are possible? What are the conditions for any atomic orbital to combine with other atomic orbital? Let us try to understand this. The first important is that these two atomic orbitals which are in combining mode or which are approaching each other, they must have same energy levels. Otherwise, if the energy gap is very high, then the probability of combination may not take place, or that is very less. So such atomic orbitals with a huge difference in the energy, they do not combine, and they do not result in any molecular orbital. Another point is same symmetry about the molecular axis. That is, the symmetry axis of the orbital, which is of the atomic orbital, which is combining with another atomic orbital, that must be same. That, for example, it must have same symmetry and the molecular axis. Otherwise, what happens? For example, you can understand that px, which is in x-axis, if you wants to interact with py, then which is in y-axis. So px py cannot combine, because that axis, symmetry axis is x for one and y for other. So thus these two cannot combine to give any molecular orbital. To have molecular orbital formation, if px we are taking, then another also must be px. If you take py, then another must be also py. If you take pz, then another must be also pz. So then only that interaction is possible. So that is the important thing, that symmetry must be same for both atomic orbitals, and overlap should be also proper. For example, s orbital should not interact with the middle of the p orbital. It should interact with the top or bottom of the p orbital. Otherwise, that overlapping proper direction is missing, then that will not lead to any formation of molecular orbital. So this molecular orbital formation has certain conditions to come into existence. These conditions are explained through linear combination of atomic orbitals, LCAO. Now, let us try to understand these two important bonds. We are all very well know about this sigma bonding, pi bonding. Every student of chemistry knows this. Sigma bond is nothing but is a collinear or coaxial overlapping, head-on overlapping. That is what we call as. It is a very strong bond when compared to pi bond, because uh, it overlaps in depth. It undergoes a deep overlapping, deep overlapping. For example, s orbital, and s orbital, and p orbital to p orbital. So such combinations give. But here, what we have to understand is p orbital. If you take px, then you have to take another px. That is x-axis interaction only possible to give sigma bonding. Whereas, in other words, pi bonding, it is between pp and dd type of overlapping. It is a sideway overlapping where head-on collision is not possible, head-on overlapping is not possible, and it is weak bond because orbitals are far away from each other when compared to sigma bond. Sigma bond, a direct interaction will be there, whereas in pi bond, direct interaction is almost very less, and the energy, bond energy is less, whereas sigma bond energy is more, and this is called a weak bond. Pi bond is called a weak bond. These are the some what basic features of sigma and pi bonding. You can look at the diagram to understand sigma and pi bonding. Here 2px and okay, 2px, 2px, or whatever it may be, same one. The end on overlapping. This is already we explaining. So that is face-to-face overlapping. Then that gives to what bonding type, sigma bonding, and of course naturally there will be anti-bonding, but it is also sigma. The point is it is only sigma. So the antibonding is due to antibonding molecular orbital is due to interaction of plus with minus. So that is a different case. Whereas here plus plus interaction gives to bonding, but it is sigma. Plus with minus also gives antibonding, but again it is also sigma. So these two are sigma sigma, but sigma bonding, sigma antibonding. So sigma sigma star. Now, when you look at the bottom picture, that is the lower part of the diagram, then pi bonding interaction. This is a sideway interaction. So again, in sideway interaction, plus plus gives bonding, that is called pi bonding, and plus interacting with minus leads to anti-bonding, that is called pi star. So that is what we call as anti-bonding molecular orbital, but pi bonding. So sigma bonding, pi bonding. Molecular orbitals are possible in sigma bonding as well as pi bonding. Yeah. Now try to understand what we mean by molecular orbital energy diagrams. These are very very important as far as BSc first year syllabus is concerned, because we expect a definite question from this area. We have given in our syllabus there are so many molecules which are to be treated, very important. We have to write down the molecular orbital energy diagrams for all the molecules differently, and we have to understand how to write molecular orbital energy diagram. Let us simply look at, already we know that how to represent a molecular orbital. So just now in the diagram it is showing, we can see that atomic orbitals should be written on the both ends of the line, and in the middle we show molecular orbitals, and the molecular orbitals should be equal in number of atomic orbitals. For example, 2s 2s, in the bottom of the picture you look at 2s 2s. So two atomic orbitals, they are interacting to give sigma bonding, because s orbital always gives only sigma but not pi bonding at any time, that we know. So sigma bonding is formed between 2s 2s, then it gives two molecular orbitals, and one is at lower energy called bonding, that is sigma 2s, another is sigma star 2s, which is nothing but anti-bonding. So whatever the number of electrons in 2s left side and right side, the total number of electrons must be what arranged into these two molecular orbitals, that is sigma 2s and sigma star 2s. So 2s 2s are atomic orbitals of two different atoms, and sigma 2s sigma star 2s are called molecular orbitals. So this is how we have to write the diagram. And similarly we have to write the total interaction of the possible interaction of the electrons, and we have to arrange these electrons into the molecular orbitals. Now look at the upper part of this diagram. There 2p of the one atom and 2p right side another atom. So left side one atom, right side another atom, 2p and 2p. That means total 6 orbitals. Now look at the middle part. Middle part molecular orbitals are written. So here the pi orbitals are written in the bottom side. Above that sigma. These three are bonding type, and on the upper side pi orbitals 2 with same energy, and above that sigma. These three are anti-bonding. So the lower part of this one pi sigma are bonding, and upper part pi star sigma star are anti-bonding. So altogether 6 orbitals are written in the middle. So the total number of electrons should be filled into the 6 orbitals accordingly, and we can find out some important features by using molecular orbital energy diagrams. What are the important what things what we can understand by using molecular orbital energy diagrams? That important things are nothing but first of all, we can calculate the number of unpaired electrons when a molecule is formed. The number of unpaired electrons. Why? Because number of unpaired electrons gives the magnetic moment of the molecule. We can easily say whether the given molecule is magnetic or diamagnetic in nature. Whether it is a paramagnetic or diamagnetic can be easily understood by looking at the energy level diagrams. This molecular orbital MOED will explain us how many unpaired electrons are there. If at least one unpaired electron is present, at least one unpaired electron is present in the MOD diagram, then that particular molecule is paramagnetic in nature. We can easily say that. We can conclude. Whereas if there is no unpaired electron, then we can easily conclude that it is diamagnetic in nature. This is one important conclusion. And second benefit, second advantage of MOED is we can calculate bond order. That is, how many bonds are there. For example, H2 is there, hydrogen, hydrogen. It has only one single bond. If you take nitrogen, N triple bond N, it is having bond order 3. So this bond order can be easily calculated by using MOED. How do we calculate bond order? we can easily calculate bond order based on the formula. That bond order formula is nothing but total number of electrons in the bonding orbitals, total number of electrons in the bonding orbitals minus total number of electrons in total number of electrons in antibonding bonding orbitals by 2. So if you take the difference, bonding minus antibonding, and if you divide with 2, whatever the number we get, that itself is called as bond order. That everyone knows very clearly. We can easily calculate the bond order. For example, let us take a simple and first example. This is a H2 molecule. Look at this diagram. A H2 molecule, the configuration of hydrogen. The step by step you have to understand what is the method to write this MOED, and how to calculate bond order, and how to explain magnetic moment. Okay, let us try to understand this. Hydrogen H2. So what is the configuration of hydrogen is 1s1. Two hydrogens are involving here. One hydrogen is having 1s1, another hydrogen also having configuration 1s1. So there is only one electron on each hydrogen. So we are writing the diagram as shown, 1s on the left side, 1s on the right side. So total 2 atomic orbitals. Then automatically we expect 2 molecular orbitals. One at a lower energy sigma 1s, and another at a higher energy sigma star 1s. Now we are written. Now how many total number of electrons are there? Left side 1s has 1 electron, and right side 1s also has only 1 electron. The total number of electrons are 2. Now we have to fill up these 2 electrons in the middle molecular orbitals. So 2 will be completely filled in the sigma only, that is in bonding uh, molecular orbital. So when 2 are filled, there is no other electron remaining. Therefore, the sigma star is empty. It is not having any electron. So total number of electrons in bonding orbitals here is 2. Total number of electrons in antibonding here is 0. Therefore, if you want to calculate bond order, then bond order is equal to bonding electrons minus antibonding electrons. Bonding electrons are 2 minus antibonding electrons are 0. So 2 minus 0, that is 2 by 2. 2 by 2 is equal to 1. So that 1 is nothing but bond order. So hydrogen bond order is 1. Based on that, we can easily calculate whether it is a stable or not. Yeah, it is a stable molecule. Why? Because if the bond order is positive, then it is a stable molecule. That means there is a formation of that molecule is possible. If the bond order is negative, then it clearly shows that there is no such possibility of formation. For example, helium, if you take helium 2, then 2, 2 will give 4 electrons. See, diagram is same, but the total number of electrons are 4. Then you have to fill up bonding and also anti-bonding. That means 2, 2. Sigma will be having 2 electrons, sigma star will be having 2 electrons. Therefore, altogether, bond order becomes 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. So, such molecule does not form at all. Okay, coming back to our hydrogen molecule, bond order is 1. Bonding electrons are 2, anti-bonding electrons are 0. So, 2 minus 0 by 2, that gives bond order as 1. And what is the magnetic behavior? How can you consider magnetic behavior? Now look at the diagram again. You cannot find any unpaired electrons in the middle part. Don't look at the sideways. That means don't look at into the atomic orbitals. Look at into the molecular orbitals only. In the molecular orbitals means middle one. So in the molecular orbitals, you don't find any single electron, unpaired electron. Therefore, it doesn't behave like a magnet. Means it won't exhibit any magnetic behavior. It is a diamagnetic in nature. Okay. So this is the 3 aspects what we have to understand. Bond order number 1, stability number 2, and number 3, magnetic behavior. So this is how we have to explain the properties of hydrogen. Yeah. Now look, let us take another example. Okay, already I have explained this, and this is how we have to take bond order as number of electrons in bonding molecular orbitals minus number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital. Those who can note down this, they can write this. So this 2 minus 0 by 2, that gives 1, which is nothing but bonding. bond order. Okay, let us try to understand another molecule. This is nitrogen. Yeah. Here we have to understand again what is the basic atoms are involving. Here N2. Nitrogen means on both sides it is nitrogen. Let us take the configuration of nitrogen. What is the total number of electrons in present in nitrogen means? We all know it is 7. That is the configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. Already it is given on the upper side. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. Right. Now look at here. The interaction of molecular atomic orbitals to give molecular orbitals is 1s interacts with 1s. Okay. And 2s also interacts with 2s. And 2p also interacts with 2p. That means each nitrogen is interacting with its corresponding atomic orbitals to give molecular orbital. So 1s interacting with 1s give what 2 molecular orbitals, and total 4 electrons are present. Therefore, they are totally filled. That means bonding to antibonding to. Similarly, 2s orbital also interacts with 2s of the another nitrogen. The diagram is clearly, you can see the bottom side of the diagram. You look at the bottom side of the diagram. Here 2s left side is one nitrogen, 2s right side is another nitrogen, where 2s orbitals are that means having 2 electrons, and right side also having 2 electrons, so total 4 electrons. Therefore 2s sigma 2s sigma star 2s are also completely filled in between, that is 4 electrons are filled into molecular orbitals sigma 2s sigma star 2s. So 1s and 2s are like that only. There is no gap at all, no empty orbital any present there. When we look at the 2p, now that is interesting what a feature where we have to understand very carefully. So 2p, the upper part of this diagram, look at the upper part. Now 2p left side is one nitrogen, right side of the 2p is another nitrogen. So left side we have 3 electrons, and the right side also the nitrogen means 3 electrons. So altogether 6 electrons. And how many orbitals? 6 orbitals. So just now we have seen that the diagrams are written in between molecular orbital diagrams, where pi bonding with equal energy 2 and sigma bonding. After that anti-bonding pi star pi star. After that sigma star. Okay, total number of electrons are 6 only. Therefore, when you start filling up the bottom side, then already 3 orbitals are there. So totally 6 electrons are filled. So that means pi sigma, all 3 bonding are completely filled. Whereas pi star and sigma star anti-bonding, 3 anti-bonding orbitals are empty. No single electron is present there. Therefore, total number of electrons we can consider here is nitrogen. One nitrogen is 7, another nitrogen is 7. Total is 14. Out of 14 electrons, how many are in bonding? With respect to 1s, 2 are in bonding. With respect to 2s, 2 are in bonding. With respect to 2p, how many are in bonding orbitals? There are 6. So altogether 6 plus 2 plus 2, that is 10 electrons are in bonding molecular orbitals. And how many are there in anti-bonding? With respect to 1s, 2. With respect to 2s, it is 2. Whereas with respect to 2p, there is no electron present in anti-bonding. So total is 4. So total out of 14, electrons, 10 are in bonding molecular orbitals and 4 are in anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So 10 minus 4, bond order is calculated as 10 minus 4, that is nothing but 6 by 2, it is nothing but 3. So we can also write as 8 minus 2 by 2, because by eliminating 1s, 2s, you can write 6 minus 0 also you can write. So whatever it is, the bond order is calculated to be 3. That means nitrogen is having triple bond, n triple bond n is present. And do you find any unpaired electron here? No, not at all. So there is no unpaired electron. Therefore, it is diamagnetic in nature. And is it stable or not? Definitely it is stable, because bond order is positive value. It is not 0, neither it is having any negative value. Therefore, it is a positive value. So clearly indicates that the molecule is stable. So this is the method to calculate these features of a given molecule based on molecular orbital energy diagram. Okay. At this stage, I will stop my session for this, and the remaining molecules we will be continued in the next session. Thank you.